I have a GearIT or GearIT GTL-200 Shoreline series. This is the $99 model, which is actually very inexpensive. So first we'll want to do an unboxing, and then we'll take it to the bench and take a look at everything, and then we're going to play a cool tune with it. So my main thing is that I want to see how dependable this is for somebody who wants to get their kid just starting in guitar, and see if they could count on this actually being playable enough to start getting lessons with and stuff. So if you're new here, welcome. I'm Kevin, and we do all things guitar here. So if it's something you're interested in, please give it a like, subscribe, or a comment. We love having you here. Without further ado, let's get to the unboxing. So I would say this thing is boxed pretty good. It's your typical cardboard and foam. It came with nice case candy. Here's some of the cool goodies that came in that. First we have a tuner, which does work. I used it on part of the video here. It came with an extra set of 9-gauge strings in case you break a string or something. A decent cable. This is your typical generic instrument cable. A strap, which is a little bit thin, but hey, what are you gonna do, right? Some picks and Allen wrenches so you can adjust the truss rod and set the intonation on it, which I thought was pretty nice of them to do. Now you're getting all this for 80 bucks. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Here is the gig bag, which is sort of a vinyl, you know, your typical gig bag. It's got some foam in it. It's a little bit thin, but I mean, it's still a gig bag, and it's still going to protect you from going to your guitar lessons and stuff, you know? So it's still really good. I also wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it and you find value in this, please subscribe, comment, or share. If you're not ready to subscribe yet, let me know in the comments what you want to see, and I'll do my best to accommodate. So this is a typical foam bag that comes in these guitars, which is totally fine. It was really protected pretty good, to be honest with you. I got one guitar that was just wrapped in that foam bag and in an empty box. So, as you can see here, it's got a humbucker and P90 pickup. P90's in the neck and the humbucker's in the bridge, which is kind of odd because they usually put a single coil P90 on these, but it's still cool. There wasn't any scratches or dings or dents on the guitar at all. It actually came packed really well, and it shipped fine, and it was pretty great looking out of the box. Let's get to the sound check though. Okay, we're gonna run this through my Neuro DSP plugin to see what kind of sounds we can get out of it. Now, I just took it out of the box and tuned it. I didn't do anything else to it, so I just want to see what it sounds like out of the box. Neck pickup. I can obviously the intonation's out, so we're just gonna run through these sounds just real quick. And that's the two pickups together. Bridge. Alright. The intonation is definitely out, but like I said, I just wanted to see what it sounded like just straight tuned up and plugged right in. So it also has a push-pull pot, so it's supposed to split the humbucker, so we're going to try that too. That's pulled up, here's push down. Now we'll go to the middle pickup. Ooh, that sounds weird, doesn't it? Sounds really weird, huh? That's the neck pickup. Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty rough with these pickups in it, but we're gonna keep going at it. So the intonation's got to get set up. We got to do a bunch of stuff to it, but just so you can hear how it sounds out of the box, it's not intonated, it's not set up. So let's get it on the bench and see what we can find, and change the strings and set it up and see what we can do from there. So let's start with the tuners. What we have here is a vintage style tuners with the oval buttons and the square backs. A lot of times there'll be a little bit of play in there, but these weren't too bad. The B string and the E string, there was a tiny bit of play, but it stays in tune, which is great. There's a set of string trees on here. This changes the angle of the string on the E string, B string, G string, and D string. You want to check and see if there's any play with the bushings, and if you decide to replace these, you have to get vintage style tuners with the bushings. Otherwise, you'll have to drill the hole out bigger because the holes are smaller for these. So just a FYI if you do decide to do any upgrading. All in all, they look pretty good, and they actually stay in tune, which is very, very good. So now let's check the action at the nut. There is a way to do it with the feeler gauges and all that stuff, which is fine, but I like my action low, so I kind of do it a quick and dirty way that kind of goes a little bit faster, but it works pretty good. Where you just stick your finger on the 3rd fret, and then you check the gap between the 1st fret and the string. Now you can see there's a little bit of gap there. You can also tap the string and you'll hear a little bit of a ping, and that's the string making contact with the fret. If you don't hear that, that means the string is touching the fret. And so if you want as little space as you could possibly get, this is a great way to try it. Or you can do it with feeler gauges. Either way, it works pretty good. I just do it this way just to give it a quick check and make sure that we're good to go. And on this particular guitar, the nut looks great. So we're all good there too. So far we're looking pretty good on a lot of stuff. Now, let's check the radius and see where we're at with that. I think on the site it said 12 inches, so I'm just double checking to make sure. And I get my radius gauge out, and sometimes it's a little bit tricky to see. I don't know if maybe because I'm old and blind or whatnot, but so what I like to do is try to put a little light behind the gauge, and you will be able to really see a fine crack of light shine through if you don't have the right radius checking the gauge, So it's a really easier way to figure out where your radius is at on that. But that's what this is, 12-inch radius, which is pretty much one of the most common radiuses out there. And you can still hit big bends and stuff and it won't fret out. So it won't be as bad as an old Fender with a 9.5-inch radius, but it won't be as flat as, say, a Les Paul with a 14. So now I'm checking the fret level with the fret rocker tool. Just need to make sure that all the frets are nice and level. And there was a couple that were out, and I just mark them and take my fret file and just knock it down a little bit. The file has a crown in it, so it's just a really easy way to kind of get it where you want it. All in all, these were pretty good. There was a couple of them that were, a little bit high, but not like terrible. Not where you'd have to, fret level the whole board or anything like that. There was just a couple that were a tad high, so I took care of those and getting things ready to polish. So now we need to tape the fretboard just to make sure I don't nick it up or get any crap on it and stuff like that. One thing that you want to keep in mind when you're using this tape like this is to tack the tape all the time. Make sure you like press it on your clothes to get some of that sticky gooey stuff off. Also use the lightest tape you can get. There's always a chance that you could pull off some of the finish, and that's exactly what happened to me on this. So it was my bad. It's one of those things that slipped my mind at the time, and so that's obviously not on them, that's on me. I just have to keep that in mind next time. Now it's time to polish the frets, and I'm using the micro mesh pads to do this, and I'm not taking anything off at all. Really, just trying to get a nice polish on the frets so that they feel really good. A lot of times, especially on these cheaper guitars, if you're playing it and you feel like a little bit of resistance, then there's the frets aren't polished. So you can really feel it. It's just this weird feeling of like, man, it's kind of sticky or something. You know what I mean? This micro mesh works great because it's easy. It comes in a kit of like $360 to $12,000, and you don't even have to go that high. But you know, it's for fine detail work like this, so they work really, really well. I have to say, for the price of this guitar, it's not bad. But you got to consider that anytime you buy something this low, it's gonna need work. It's never gonna be completely right out of the box. So then I just check the level again, make sure everything's cool, and it was fine. It worked out really great. There wasn't a whole lot to do there, but there was a little bit. So this is what they look like after they're done. Nice and shiny, and yeah, they turned out pretty good. So I like them. Now, one of the first things you do when you pull a guitar out of the box is check the fret ends. You don't want your hand to feel like it's going through a cheese grater when you're playing the thing. And inexpensive guitars are very prone to having bad fret ends. But these were great. I didn't have to do anything to them. They felt great. By far, I would have to say the worst thing about this guitar was the electronics. The pots were scratchy, the switch made noise, and I couldn't get it to really sound all that great. So what I ended up having to do is rewire the whole thing. Here is the three-way switch from the factory and the dirty push-pull pot. And obviously, it's cheaper electronic stuff. I mean, that's how they save their money, right? So I went ahead and put in a American three-way switch. This one right here. And then I had some old pots laying around, some old mini pots. So I just put them in. I know they're still cheap too, but at least they were clean and they weren't so scratchy. Also, it seemed like no matter what I did to that pickup, I could not get that thing to sound like it should. So I had an old ceramic pickup from a different guitar lying around and ended up using that just because it seemed like no matter what I did, I couldn't get it right. And also, just wiring it like a normal Tele, removing the push-pull pot and using a three-way switch and getting it to sound decent. In order to pull off a good split coil, you need a really good pickup for it. Otherwise, it's just a mess, you know, and this guitar definitely had that. So the pickup I tried to use was something similar to what came in it, I'm sure. And here's what the electronics look like after I was done. Forgive my soldering, I am still working on it. But, and like I said, I just wanted to do a simple three-way normal Tele switching with the humbucker and the P90 and see if I could just get it to sound decent by itself. Now, when I opened up the guitar, I noticed there wasn't any shielding. And you really need that shielding for the P90. Otherwise, it's going to be noisy. So I went ahead and used some copper tape and put the shielding in, and just to make sure that it was right that way too. So, you know, it's not as straight as it probably should be, but I did the best I could with it. This stuff can be tricky to work with sometimes. So now we've got our shielding right. We've got better wiring components in it, and still pretty much a subpar pickup, but at least I felt like it was going to be better. Now we're putting her back together finally. After all that with the electronics, I'm feeling pretty good though. I think it's going to sound okay. It's amazing what a good set of pickups will do to any guitar anyway. So I want to talk about the fit and finish a little bit, because this was where I was super surprised. You can see here the neck joint is very, very good. There's not hardly any gaps in it, and it's very tight. And on these types of guitars, you can expect for the neck joint to be a little bit sloppy, and you really don't want that. So I tried to get the best picture I could where you could kind of see what I'm talking about, where there's no gaps. I mean, it looks really good here. You know, you can see right there how it fits really nice. And the binding looked good. I don't know how they did the binding. Maybe it's, something different than what I'm used to seeing, but I was just looking at it like I normally do. And there wasn't any gaps or anything. Like sometimes on a cheaper guitar, you'll see the little bit of space where they routed out the wood and glued the binding. And I didn't see any of that there. Who knows? It could be a paint job. But there's a little bit of binding on the top lip too, so at least it looks real. Overall, the fit and finish of the guitar is outstanding. Outstanding. Oh, we're getting closer to the end. Time to get a set of strings on here and get the rest of this finished up. Once we do this, we will check the neck relief and check the action and set the intonation and set the pickup height and get everything ready to go. So, who's this guitar for? I would say, first of all, you're going to have to make sure to take it to your local music store. Right when you get it home and get it out of the box. Take it straight to the music store and have them look it over. Because you're going to have to probably put a little bit of money into it. Now, just to do a quick setup and stuff, it wouldn't be too bad. And if it's a beginner, the pickups you won't be that fussy about the pickups until you get a little bit more experience. And they did work out of the box. They were just really bad. Overall, the guitar's great. I mean, the fit and finish of it's good. The neck's good. It stays in tune, as you can tell. And so, really, it's just a matter of taste with the pickups and all that stuff. When I see this guitar, I think of, like, Americana, that sort of music, like Mellencamp and Tom Petty and stuff like that. More modern times, I kind of think of like the Black Pumas. They kind of this is sort of like a oddball guitar design from like the late 60s and early 70s by Fender. So it just really, really calls out to me to play that sort of stuff with it. But if you're a beginner and you're not sure if you want to invest too much into it, go ahead and grab one of these, but just be sure to know that you're going to have to put a little bit of money into it, So let's say you buy one for $80 and you put $100 into it. It's still $200. So, you'd have to just figure, well, am I better off getting a $200 guitar then, But all in all, for the money, I really can't, $85 out the door for this guitar. For the amount of stuff on this that was good, it's very impressive, The neck is great on this guitar. Especially if you like, that old feel, a little bit fatter neck on the back side of it. If you want to learn how to repair guitars, this would be a great one to learn on, because you could buy it and break it and not have to worry about it, you know. If you've been wanting to learn how to set your guitar up and do all that stuff, buy one of these. Maybe if you need parts, you know, you could use some parts off of this. I mean, it's 100% upgradable. So if you got anything out of this video and you want to subscribe, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Do you want to see any more of these guitar videos? I would love to review a bunch more, and I think I'm going to anyway, to be honest with you. I really like doing it. And the last thing I wanted to do was just play a song for you so you can hear all the different sounds and everything that I got out of this guitar. So I recorded the chord progression to the Black Pumas song, Colors, and just soloed over it, just doing a little bit of noodling and stuff. So don't mind my sloppiness. I've been working a lot, and so my practice time has suffered a little bit, but it is what it is. And let me know what you think. I would love to hear. And we will talk to you in the next one. Thank you.